Bitcoin crashed from $85,000 to about $75,000, give or take. And I want to kind of give you guys some caution because those of you that have been watching my channel for months at this point, I've had two very particular areas of interest that I wanted to look at to maintain either a bullish or bearish structure. The first level was the $98,000 range, which was hit about 2.5 weeks ago. And that's what made me very, very nervous because we obviously rejected off of that. And that was a price target I gave you months in advance when, Bitcoin had crashed from all-time highs all the way down to like the 80s. And, obviously we can't crack the whole $98,000 region. Now, I've also given you a very other specific key level, which was $75,000, which is the area and the high time frame where we need to maintain that to basically keep us in a bullish trend. And so what do we know? We hit that basically over the weekend, and it's just bringing a lot of fear and shock into the market because it's like, what's going to go on? There's a lot of bearish price targets where now everybody's calling for like lower lows, like $40,000, even $30,000 because of, all this stuff that's kind of being released over the weekend with the whole like files being released. We have just max FUD and fear. There's a lot of, rumors and speculations with, CZ and Binance that, in my opinion, allegedly, I can't really, say that, like I can't like just say this definitively, but I think everybody's of the opinion that they've been manipulating the markets, and basically crypto is just a unregulated casino, and we've been waiting on just clear legislative framework so that we can kind of continue this and kind of keep a better thumb over the market, right? And so it's just very, very bearish, and everybody's really scared right now, and rightfully so. We obviously had a record crash when it comes to the gold and silver. Silver crashed about 35% in like a single day, and for reference, that basically would wipe out the entire crypto market. So that just goes to show how fragile things are right now. They basically just like live and die off of these headlines where Trump is making these trade agreements. There's all this like kind of drama within the whole like U.S. Country, and then I don't have to tell you about global tensions when it comes to the geopolitical landscape, right? And so, those of you that watch the channel, you guys just kind of care about like crypto and making your money, right? So I kind of want to give you just an update of what I think is going to happen. Now, obviously, it is good that we kind of maintain the $75,000, region, and we kind of like have bounced above that for now. There's a lot of confluence between about 69,000, which is the last, cycle's all-time high. Michael Saylor's basically like break-even level, which is about $74,000. And then on a higher time frame, when you look at the structure of the whole Bitcoin cycle, $75,000 is the region that we need to maintain to remain bullish, right? And so I think at the very least, we're going to anticipate a relief rally. I think that could take us probably around like $85,000 to $90,000 at the minimum. That's just my guess because there's obviously a CME gap, which tend to get filled about 90% of the time. So, full disclosure, I have taken low leverage long positions with tight stop losses, basically around the $75,000 region. And a few selective altcoins. But I think that this is a very important time to look at your portfolio. I've been telling you guys that, Bitcoin has always been the name of the game. You always want to try to accumulate more Bitcoin. And I think that this whole, downturn and the whole couple months worth of just a lot of chop in the market, you've seen all of these altcoins kind of bleed out, 80, 90%, even like Solana, right? Which is like a really good layer one in my opinion. That's one of my favorites. Ethereum's not doing much better. Tom Lee's down like, I think he's gonna set a record for like the most amount of, unrealized losses for like Wall Street. So, it just goes to show like what you kind of wanna strategize for in the future, right? And just kind of, have a conversation with yourself of, what's going to hurt more and what's going to benefit me in the long run, right? Because it's really, really hard to time the markets or to choose which altcoins are going to do better or worse. And I think that we can all make the case that as fragile as cryptocurrency is, the one that's going to be around for a long time is going to be Bitcoin, in my opinion. And so, you need to kind of see like, even if you are of the opinion that we're going to go lower, you need to kind of prepare yourself, right? Because, I'm not like a tax strategist or a financial advisor or nothing like that, but I have friends that have been reaching out to me asking like, what should they do? Should they sell now and try to buy more later? And usually what happens is they'll sell right now, obviously at a loss or like about break even, and then they'll try to time buying the bottom, right? And it's like, well, you couldn't time selling the top, so you think you're going to buy, you're going to buy the bottom, and that's not even to mention like tax implications. So in my personal opinion, it's never been a more important time to learn how to make money outside of crypto. And if you are of the opinion that things are going to go up in the future, then just plan to allocate at those levels that you have in mind. But, I don't want to take on like any kind of tax burdens, right? So like I'm not selling, right? You can always hedge against like your positions with like low leverage short positions. You can do options. There's so many different things you can do. And obviously artificial intelligence is taking off in a massive way right now. There's many ways to make money. I'm gonna be making a video basically how you can kind of make money with artificial intelligence or other kind of like AI, sort of integrations outside of crypto so that you can ideally make enough money on the side to basically build up your positions for the long term. Now, again, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. I'll probably do like another video a little bit later on tonight, but I just kind of wanted to bring this over because there's a lot of just drama and stuff going on. I think that the worst for now is behind us. I wouldn't worry too much just because we also had like a really good ISM reading, and that's basically, when you look at how that has implications like on the markets, it would signify some sort of bottom when it comes to the whole macro environment. So, I think with that, the new Fed chair coming in, which there's a lot of mixed opinions on that, but I'm not really too concerned. He is a little bit pro Bitcoin in crypto. He's pretty strict in the past with like monetary policy and interest rates and all that kind of stuff. But, he wouldn't be hired and put in that position if he wasn't going to do exactly what the Trump administration wants to do, which is basically, lower interest rates, print money, grow us out of this debt. So that's good for risk on assets, and time's going to tell what's going to happen. So with that being said, trade safe, guys. If you have any questions, drop them below in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. As you know, everything I say here is very time sensitive. See you soon. Bye.